All right, let's talk about why I started with Bolt versus all the other apps out there. And could I switch later? Potentially. I usually like to look around and be well versed with different CRMs, different product management tools, different communication channels and tools, different sales tools. So I'll probably test out more later. But right now, I've really been getting into Bolt, and one of the reasons why is because it's very user friendly for someone who is more of a who's not like design oriented, because I can't even draw a straight line, and I'm also not an engineer. And so this UI and user experience that Bolt has is very much in alignment with what I'm capable of building. It deploys natively, or it has a native integration to deploy to Netlify, which I didn't even know what that even was until I signed up for Bolt. So it was like easy to understand. Supabase is another thing it's tightly integrated in for your backend and database management. Again, I knew enough about backend and database management through years of being a paid Airtable user, but the details of which that Supabase requires, like edge functions and things like that, like I've had to learn it over time. However, to just have username and authentication and password management, database relational items, you can really do a lot with Bolt, to the point where you can just say, hey, I've updated the app. Can you change the database schema in Supabase? It'll automatically like update it in the way that you need it to, so that the database schema actually makes sense from an AI. Now, I've heard some things like, hey, it might expose, you really need a security engineer to help, protect everything that you're putting on there. You really need a backend engineer to make sure that the schema is actually right and scalable. And all of those are amazing and incredibly accurate concerns, and very like relevant. However, when you're just like trying to figure out like how you're going to do this thing, I really would encourage people to explore maybe things that aren't extremely important. So if you are worried about security, you don't want to build something that's going to require security measures. However, if you're just trying, like my first apps that I was building were, one was just like, hey, let's take the wait but why 100 blocks a day, like idea and concept, and put into an application that allows people to track how they're spending their time on a day-to-day basis, on a week-to-week basis, and on a monthly basis, so that at the end of the year you can figure out how you were allocating your blocks throughout the course of your life. That's essentially the product concept. Well, with that, you don't really need too much security measure. Now, if I was going to try to implement an integration into Google Calendar where I'm exposing people's email addresses and the people that they're meeting and their email addresses, then sure, for sure, you need like heavy security. But I would encourage you to like start like building and making small things with Bolt, things that you can just use around the house, like a habit tracker, or manage your book reading. I'm about to probably build something I've been really wanting for a while, to hire someone to take all of the highlights that I've highlighted in a bunch of books that I've read and turn them into text, so that then I can upload them into other things like Readwise or Roam. And haven't done that yet, but now through stuff I've been building with Bolt, I now know that I have access to Google Vision API, and I know how to use it. I also know how to use OpenAI's API system, so I can actually build that product myself without having to hire someone to go and manually transcribe and do those types of things, because I've tried to do OCR with Apple Notes and it didn't work very well. But now I know how to use APIs, and I can probably do a Google Vision API integration with a Readwise API or a Roam API. And now I can just take a picture, and then it'll automatically take the highlighted portions and upload it into my Roam system, which is where I keep all of my reading notes. So you have all of these different aspects and different things that you can build without exposing it to like any type of data security issues. And it really starts with figuring out like what is something that is in your life that you think software could solve, and just try and build it and see what Bolt gives you. And I think that's a really like powerful framework to start building on top of it. And as you go along, you can start getting more sophisticated and more sophisticated as you start to understand how Supabase works, Netlify, different types of APIs that are available out there. I think you'll get better and stronger until you can start pitching your apps and your products to actual customers and charging for that. So hopefully this helps in how to get around the cold start problem of that's usually used in networking effects, but the cold start problem of just starting to get building with these applications. Just start with something at home. Hopefully that helps.